I'm Trevin Stevenson, musical theater major, but then I also minored in dance and I did a lot of the acting shows as well. I wanted to do almost everything. And back then, what's kind of crazy is I was like all set on doing musical theater and doing Broadway, and that was what I wanted. And then my whole life has taken a totally different turn in that way. Now I have my master's in music industry that I just got from USC, and an emphasis in live tour strategy and management, as well as music supervision. So when I look back, I'm like, oh man, I probably should have done MMET. But what I learned in musical theater really helped me end up shaping what I ended up doing. And took me to New York, and I ended up majoring in commercial dance and getting a BFA in dance. And I would never change it because I realized through that was not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to perform on stage for a living. I started to really like everything that happened behind the scenes, and that kind of oddly led me to music industry at USC. While I also never left here. I stayed here assisting Diane when she was the artistic director before she retired, and also assisting the dance department with Marie Hoffman. And once Diane retired, I continued on with the dance department. So I've still been here the entire time while also pursuing a career in the music industry. I just graduated in December. Finding out about APA was pretty cool because I lived in St. Louis, Missouri. And so I ended up transferring into APA my junior year, and I moved from St. Louis to California. And my grandmother was really good friends with Tim Nelson and happened to be Tim's boss at an elementary school that Tim used to teach at. And my grandma was his boss. And my grandma also played saxophone at the first Row show once on this island. And so finding out about it and coming here and auditioning with Tim was really great. And I've had so many amazing moments. Like a lot of my drive and success I attribute to Tim Nelson, just because what he instills as a teacher and the expectations that he holds, it like really inspired me to keep driving towards it. In the same way in dance, when I started coming into dance, I remember Marie asked me, because I started Dance Tech 1, I only took it because it was a PE credit, and I had never danced a day in my life, and I could barely do a train step, if you know what that is. It was awful. And I ended up taking dance, and Marie saw something in me and was like, I want you to be in repertory ensemble. And I was like, no. The first thing that came out of my mouth was no. And I think that's a big moment too, because she never quit. It was like, no, do you want to do repertory ensemble? And I think after like the third time, I was like, all right, I guess I will. And that kind of propelled me into ending up getting a degree in dance from one of the top commercial dance schools in the country. So I never, like, that's a huge moment, like that persistence to get me to dance kind of shot me into the rest of my life, which was pretty amazing. And of course, like all of the amazing shows that we did in musical theater, I got to play Adolfo in Drowsy Chaperone. That was one of my favorite roles I've ever played. The schedule and like the vigorous training and the amount of time that I spent here prepared me exponentially for college and career, because a lot of other people don't come from programs this large and they don't do 3 musicals a year, and then if they're in dance they do 2 dance shows, or if they're in acting too, they don't do that at most places. Where I came from in St. Louis, Missouri, there was a drama club and there was a musical every other year. So you really see when you get to college that I felt so prepared when people were kind of spinning out of control and were like, we have rehearsals, we don't have time for homework. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is second nature to me. So that was one of the biggest things that helped me succeed in college, which is I was already prepared for it. And that's essentially what APA does. It is preparing you for that next step or that higher education. And it did for me.